All right.
$140.
You want me to verify that amount? I can message the builder.
That would be great. I mean, like the bill says $140. I hope it's correct.
Okay, give me one moment, okay?
Thanks.
Hey, could all our participants mute their mics, please? We're getting some overflow here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to GBR. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. We still have a lot of folks joining. And feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Good morning, everybody that just joined us. We're going to wait just another minute or two. We still have a lot of folks joining, and then we'll begin.
What do you think, Susan? Should we get it rolling?
Maybe just another minute. We're still getting a few people in.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there's more.
Yeah. And if everyone could just please make sure that you're on mute. Okay, I think we're good to go, Gary.
Okay, well, let's get rolling then. Hi, my name's Gary Skiba. We have an echo going, Susan. I'm not sure why.
Maybe unplug your microphone, Gary.
No, that would be, yeah, somebody's microphone's picking me up. So, yeah, everybody needs to mute. So anyway, hi, welcome to the Green Business Roundtable. I'm Gary Skiba. I'm the Wildlife Program Manager for the San Juan Citizens Alliance. So remember, say hello in the chat to other people. We will be doing announcements and questions at the end afterwards. You can just send a message to me or to Susan. And if you have technical issues, send those to Susan if you have any technical issues going on. Just as a reminder, this is the virtual GBR, and the Green Business Roundtable is a long-standing platform to inspire, educate, improve, and network the business community in La Plata County, particularly. Our parent organization is the San Juan Citizens Alliance, and we provide the logistical support. So if you're not a member, as I always say, I don't know why you're not, you should be. So give locally, become a member, and we're the leader for protecting our air, water, healthy lands, and wildlife here in southwestern Colorado and northwest New Mexico. Do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. First Southwest Bank is our primary sponsor. Others are LPA, Edward Jones Investing, Drea Presley from Edward Jones, Maria's Bookshop, Phoenix Recycling, Alpine Bank, City of Durango, Durango Land and Homes, Local First, Durango Nursery and Supply, the Payroll Department, the Powerhouse, Solar Works, and Mantel Heckathorn Builders. So thanks to all of those folks who have been our sponsors over the years, and especially this year. I do want to point out, we did make the decision to do virtual GBR for this session, and I think you're all pretty much aware of what the COVID situation is. That's what drove it. We haven't really decided what to do for next month yet, but there will be a next month, and we will be sure that you're engaged in that, and you'll get all the messages that we have available to that. So for today, our guest speakers are Gail Schwartz and Jake Ezratty from Habitat for Humanity in the Roaring Fork, and they will be talking about the affordable housing project there. Gail is the president of Habitat for Humanity in the Roaring Fork. She was a former state senator, the housing director for the Aspen-Pitkin County Housing Authority. She has over 40 years experience in housing and community development, renewable energy, and resource deployment. Jake Ezratty is the project manager for Habitat for Humanity in the Roaring Fork Valley and the project manager on Basalt Vista HFH RFVs, which is housing for, I bet you can help me with that, housing for Habitat for Humanity Roaring Fork Valley's largest development. I figured it out to date, consisting of 27 net zero homes. And he has over 6 years project management experience working on large scale projects, renewable energy, and residential developments. So those are going to be our two speakers today. And as I said, if you have announcements, send those to me, and we will ask that when you do that, so just to plan for it, be ruthlessly brief, 3 or 4 sentences max if you want to do that. And we'll do that after the presentations. And then we'll do a Q&A session as well. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Gail. I think Gail's going first to, let me just get myself in the right place here. So if you can share your screen, Gail, and get going, that would be great.
Actually, Jake is going to
Oh, okay, Jake.
run the PowerPoint. And as we do it, well, just a huge greeting to Southwest Colorado. And I want to thank San Juan Citizens Alliance for your including us and your incredible organization, Susan, Kent, Gary, and of this ability to present this today. And a lot of familiar faces, and I want to say hello to many of you here that are on this program today, and acknowledge in particular the many elected officials and former elected officials that you have joined. I mean, it is a combination of collaborations, public and private, that makes projects like this happen. And also just a howdy to Habitat for Humanity La Plata. Rachel and Sarah are on, and we're all part of a big Habitat for Colorado, Habitat for Humanity Colorado family. And our affiliate here, Habitat for Humanity Roaring Fork Valley, spans from Aspen to Parachute. We're about 20 years old, and we have completed 50 homes, which is putting us halfway through this project. So we'll have many more coming up that are in the process. So just a big hello and thank you for including us. And if we could just, you have a really nice picture of what we are presenting today in terms of the first phase of our project, which is at Basalt Vista in Basalt, right behind the high school. And it is surrounded by open space on both sides. And it really is quite an exceptional location with a great hiking trail behind it and a really wonderful location for workforce and community housing. So just going to the next slide, which is talks about our vision. Let's go up to the Basalt Vista so I can talk about our, go back one or go up one. Yeah, that one. And so this was truly a collaboration, and it was a function of bringing together the Roaring Fork School District that had a parcel of land that they did not intend to utilize for any of their school expansions that is adjacent to the existing high school, and Pitkin County, who has a fund that they help support affordable housing development, and the town of Basalt, who gave us some fee waivers and supported our energy efficiency costs. And then, of course, Habitat being the other partner. And we do have many partners that were part of bringing us, let's go up two more, key partners, just as you've just acknowledged the support the San Juan Citizens Alliance gets, that we have Alpine Bank and other suppliers, Department of Local Affairs and CORE, that's our energy efficiency group, all were part of pulling together the concept, SunSense, as well as some of our key suppliers and subcontractors, and a big acknowledgement to Holy Cross Energy as our local REA, and that Holy Cross Energy really was the inspiration for making this project work. So let's move to the vision slide, if you go back up. And it takes a vision. It takes a, what do we want to do? How can we do it? What are the resources? And what does a community, an affordable housing community look like? And where do we put it? What are our numbers? How do we pay for it? And then you have this other component, the energy component. We were interested in energy efficiency, but net zero was a reach, making this an all electric community that evolved through our relationship with CORE and Holy Cross Energy. So that collaboration and partnership, starting with that vision, starting with the concept and our commitment to affordable housing and the community collaboration of both on the private and public sector. And as you saw, we talked about our partners that we have, and hats off to 2757 Architects for their design. The last big piece, philanthropy, foundations, individuals, volunteers, in-kind contribution of contractors and suppliers. So as we have here, you can see the scope of the project as it relates to the large high school that is addition to. We did have to accommodate where we were right at subject to potential debris flow. So we had to put in a catchment basin. That was a pretty big expense. That hillside in the back of it wasn't to be developed, but is part of the parcel, as you can see. And you'll see the plat when Jake makes his presentation. And then the next phrase is, when we finish up, my gosh, we have some remarkable homes, and we have these families that are extraordinarily grateful for the homes that they have. We have 23 out of the 27 that are completed right now, and we'll be having 3 more families move in. And the next is just kind of a close-up. As you can see, the solar panels, this is our triplex, the solar panels on either side. Jake's going to talk about the heat pumps that are in the back and how that will, you can see the heat pumps are covered underneath the units on the 3 bedrooms on either side of the middle unit, which is a 4-bedroom. So you can see generally what the project looks like. And then this is an interior shot of one of the kitchens. Again, Jake's going to talk about the appliances and the induction range and energy efficient appliances. But Habitat, as you know, is supported by as I said, volunteers and community support. And this is one of our volunteer groups that actually comes from Pekin County. And they did a work day on the site, and you can see some important players that helped us get funding and get the project underway, and then felt they were part of it and continue to be involved with volunteering. This is the opening of our first home, the first duplex, two-bedroom homes, and the communities there and the families talking about what it means to be part of this community and this home. And as we look at, excuse me, the who's living there, who is part of our community, and as you look at the workforce and professions and the jobs at Basalt Vista, we have about 46 different professions and positions that are represented by the residents, those currently and those who will be moving in shortly. All the homes are sold. And as I said, it's divided between the school district and the county as our partners. So 14 of the homes are for school district families and 13 are for people that are employed in Pekin County, not just for the county. But if you look at who are we addressing in terms of our income, and this is our biggest challenge, because our AMI at 70 to 100% is our target. And it is a challenge to back in to purchase prices that can accommodate these incomes when, as we all know, building in the mountains and in resort communities is extremely challenging. And we're proud of the fact that we are really representing the opportunity for equity in our homes and our residents. Just at Basalt Vista, 30% of the family are part of the Latinx community, compared to 10% of the general population in Pekin County, and 4% that actually own owner-occupied housing, and 75% are first-time home buyers. So when you have first-time home buyers, we'll talk about a little bit about making families ready for home ownership. But
what is AMI?
Oh, area medium income. I appreciate your asking that question. And that is set both at the state and federal level and by county. And so you have an AMI that's a strata of incomes in your county and the income ranges that are part of the AMI calculation. And many, like Colorado Division of Housing, they require that you are building homes for people for their grants, 80% or less. And when we look at the housing spectrum, we really should envision that people that making 120% of AMI are not necessarily in rental housing, or even over 60% AMI are not necessarily in rental housing, because they can be homeowners. They can be homeowners. And that is what we're trying to demonstrate here, is that our two-bedroom homes cost between $240,000 to $295,000. And you can look at what the mortgage range is based upon that income level that ties back to the mortgage and the purchase price, that a rental unit, for a two-bedroom rental unit on the market now is $6,000. And we couldn't even find one in Carbondale. And then the three-bedroom, with which we right now, the sales price is $250,000 to $345,000. And you can see the range for the mortgages, and that the rental rate for a three-bedroom, again, is about twice what people are paying in their mortgages and on the free market. And then as well in a four-bedroom, which we're selling for $340,000 to $370,000, and we couldn't find what we found, a nice four-bedroom in Carbondale for $6,000 though. So my point being that homeownership gives that predictability, gives that stability to both the community and to the homeowners themselves. But what did it take for us to build 27 homes? Sorry, my numbers are bouncing around when in the presentation side of it. But with the $3 million parcel and a $3 million contribution to the infrastructure, and then what our building costs, we have about an $18 million project here. And as we look at how did we start to pay for that, Town of Basalt and their contribution through tap fee waivers and energy contribution, and then the grants from the Division of Housing, core, what an important group they were, helping us pay for that, those solar panels on the upfront side, as well as the Habitat for Colorado. They are help facilitate loans from the state and from the feds as well. And then Holy Cross Energy. And then we look at what we look at from with respect to what revenue we're trying to raise through private donations and foundations, and also our wonderful Restore that we have here in Glenwood, and the net revenue from that operation that we can put into the homes and into the home sales. But we only raised about 8 million through the home sales. But the balance of that project we are raising through these other grants and foundations and community participation. So just as a summary, all in, it's about $378,000 per unit as a subsidy, all in infrastructure construction. But then the cash subsidy is around $150,000 per unit. It's a challenge. Because it's a challenge to be able to build. We are planning our next project to be in Rifle, and that will be 20 homes there. And it will be both for older adults in condominium style and townhouses. And we are utilizing some offsite construction. Hopefully that will provide us with some cost savings and reduce the amount of subsidy that we're challenged with. But look at the housing continuum, that every community, when you're thinking about planning for affordable housing, we need to address all ends of the spectrum, leading from our homeless and our emergency shelters, transitional housing, social housing, affordable rental housing, affordable ownership, and market and rental housing into the market rate ownership. So we know here that it's really out of reach for even a community like Rifle, for the workforce to be buying free market homes when they've been appreciated 30% over the last year. And it's completely out of question that a working family can afford a home in Aspen. And now 30% of the housing in Basalt is going to absentee owners. Until you have an insulated stock of housing in your affordable home mix that you can protect from the market forces, through deed restrictions, you must have this ability to protect that housing long term. So talking to our electeds and talking to our community, many incentives and policies for affordable housing development. And you can read through that, using public plans, using to reduce local development review costs, expedited development processes, density bonuses, and deed restrictions, I think, are critical. I am a strong proponent of a deed restriction in perpetuity, because it's too difficult to develop these homes, to have them flop into the free market over a period of time. And then incentive programs for our employers. And these incentive programs through tax credits and other incentives for employers to support housing their employees is important. And of course, bottom line, any projects we develop, the commitment to energy efficiency, striving for net zero. That's a really important piece. Many of those incentives have come out of House Bill 1271, which is an important bill that was passed with through this last legislative session. They are going through pilots. It's administered by DOLA, and it has right now about $50 million associated with it, just under. But the last subcommittee that was working this summer on expending this $400 million that came out of federal program is going to, I believe, recommend more dollars to go into that funding. So home ownership and the community benefits, and I will quickly go through this, but starting off, financial stability, wealth building. Even with a deed restriction of 3% appreciation, families are building wealth. And this concept that you only build wealth through your home ownership, really, you are so much better off in a deed restricted home than, let's say, a free market rental unit, because you don't have the predictability on your rates, you don't have the predictability on your utility bills, and you don't know, again, how well you're going to be living there, and you're not building any equity. So just saying that wealth building, financial literacy and education, that's a really important piece. 75% of your your homeowners are first-time homeowners, and it's great to take them through a process of what it means to own a home, to pay for the home, have an HOA, pay for the expenses associated with it, and then improved health outcomes. We know that well over 80% of our homeowners have experienced improved health outcomes just as a result of stable housing. Economic impact to local communities. We're seeing that our homeowners with low financing, like 2% financing, and low monthly mortgage payments, compounded by, as Jake will talk about, paying $14 a month for utility bills. That's the benefit of net zero. $14 a month is a connection charge. And that's an incredible benefit, because these homeowners now have some ability to start businesses and have time in their community. So the community does impact from having these stable long-term residents in their community. Improved education outcome. Again, families are feeling much more optimistic about the future of their children when they have a regular place to sit down and study. Environmental and energy outcomes being that net zero. And then the civic and social engagement. 87% of our homeowners say they are volunteering in the community. They're participating in the community. Again, these homeowners are part of either teachers or work for the school district and a part of our essential workforce. So I think that we will at least let you see this, have this be a record that you can see what financial and as we interpret wealth, it goes well beyond your equity in your home. It goes to the fact that you actually have a stable place, you're part of a community, your long-term commitment there. That's part of wealth building. And next, moving into our financial stability and literacy and education. And these courses that we'll offer are super important to the family. Understanding an HOA. I'm a proponent for an HOA because that protects the long-term quality and viability of the community, and also protects their investment long-term. When you have a reserve study, that funding is going to be set aside to replace all those components of those buildings and make sure those buildings will be functioning 40 years from now. The health outcomes, as we talked about, what it is to have a stable place to live, and the economic impact of local communities. Again, this opportunity that the discretionary funds going into local investment, and again, showing our 46 jobs and what it means to have those individuals be part of the community education outcomes for our students, leading to better performance in the school and so forth, and the optimism for the future of those kids. Going into the environmental aspect of it, Jake will really delve into this, but what we have here is a learning lab at Basalt Vista, and Holy Cross stepping up, and CORE and NREL. And we're even now have a study that's underway with NREL. Not only do we have this integrated system of the solar generation on site, the energy efficiency of the appliances, NREL is now monitoring that energy use. Some of our homes actually have batteries. So, we're looking at that being part of the grid. When you have electric vehicles and you have battery on site, how does that perform in terms of being able to heat up hot water or have the energy grid? And when you have time of day pricing, that's also a way of monitoring energy use. So looking at what it means long-term as we are facing our climate challenges, how can we be part of this? How can we have our homes, our businesses all move to this all-electric communities that are energy efficient and part of the distributed generation grid? So that, really proud of that, $14 a month, which is the connection charge. And then lastly, the social engagement, as we talk about being on a HOA board, being part of your community, and also supporting what it means to be in a thriving neighborhood. And as we see that, this is the opening of our playground. The families coming, our donors coming, the people in the community, our councilmen and board of county commissioners, all seeing what it means to have a new affordable community. And just lastly, we are really honored to have the governor come and sign, along with the bill sponsors and our state reps, and our board members come and sign HB 1271. If you're not familiar, please take a look. Take a look at the DOLA program that is going to have that funding available for communities to do planning around affordable housing development and build it into your codes, just as we talk about, and then also help pay. We're now have a HB 1271 grant in with the city of Rifle for nearly $1 million to help us pay for some of the infrastructure and some of the fees. So that it is a tool for communities to collaborate and some state funding to help support it. And just lastly, reading Governor Polis's quote, "Today I got to see the future and present of affordable housing at Basalt Vista. It was inspired to see this. I was inspired to see this amazing net zero affordable housing. It's the true model for Colorado and our country. And it is, and thanks to all the partners that made it possible. We need to replicate this to the best extent we can, starting with our next project of 20 homes, net zero community homes in Rifle. But thank you so much for letting me share the project and share the work that's gone into it. And now Jake Ezratty is going to be presenting the energy side of things. I'm going to quickly mute. Happy to answer any questions. And thank you for being here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to pull up just in 1 second the net zero presentation. Okay. So yes, my name is Jake Ezratty, and I'm going to take my mask off. I'm the project manager for Habitat for Humanity. And Basalt Vista is an all-electric neighborhood consisting of 27 units, 12 buildings total, all duplexes and triplexes. And they're all 2, 3, and 4 bedroom floor plans with 2 bathrooms. And right now we have 23 units complete with 4 units to go. There's also 3 ADA accessible units for the project too. Below, you'll see our key partners that Gail described, and I'll just give you a brief rundown. Aspen Core contributed $100,000 for the heat pumps, which I'll go into later, and another $100,000 for solar. Town of Basalt waived fees, contributed $30K for solar, but on Gail's presentation, it was, they contributed, almost $400K. Pickens County did $3 million in infrastructure and also contributed $100K for solar. And Aspen Core provided a grant for engineering from Resource Engineering Group out of Crested Butte to do an energy model for the project and the analysis for net zero. And all of these grants played a key factor in deciding to go all electric. So, at the start of the project, gas, it was intended for gas, and it was decided that because of these partnerships that we were able to go for all electric. We did save $28,000 on the gas infrastructure cost, but that didn't come anywhere near what the ad for solar was. So with those grants, that was really helpful in convincing our board and actually moving forward with a net zero all electric neighborhood. So when you're considering net zero, there are many factors that all play a role in getting to the point of being able to be net zero. So I'll start off by saying, so net zero means over the course of a year, on average, the home is producing what it is using. So a lot of homeowners have assumed that meant that their bill is nothing, but it's more of an average deal. In the winter, you're using more energy, and in the summer, you're building credits and you're using less energy than you're producing. And those credits actually get counted towards your bill in the winter, which is why you're able to get to that $14 a month. So to go net zero, it all starts with the tight building envelope, good insulation, and then reducing the demand of all of the appliances, the HVAC system, the water heating, and the lighting in order to be able to fit the solar panels to power your house on the roof. So with the traditional system, baseboard electric heat, you would need such a big roof to fit your solar panels. In order to actually be net zero, it wouldn't work. You would probably need to have an array somewhere else. So going into the insulation, I broke down here what we're doing. What we do on our exterior walls is an R23 blown-in blanket insulation system, and that's shown in the top right photo. The white insulation is on the exterior walls. And the advantage of this blown-in system is that there's no air gaps. You put up the screen and you blow it in, and it seals it a lot better than just a batt insulation, which is what we did use for the interior walls and the mid-floor joists. In the ceiling, we use R49 loose fill, which is pretty standard and code for our homes. We also do a blower door test, which we get in about the 2 to 3 range, air changes per hour at 50 PSI, ACH 50. And we did try out a SIP panel system for 2 of our buildings to analyze the installation speed, the blower door test results. The R values were pretty consistent between the 2 options. Being Habitat for Humanity volunteers is a key aspect of what we do. So these panels are light, they're easy to use with volunteers, but there are more of them. So there's advantages. The current system we're using and the system in the photo there is a zip panel system. I know, very close to SIP. And that is what you see, the green insulation board on the outside. And basically it's a wall panel that has the insulation built in, but instead of being on the inside in between 2 OSB pieces of wood, it's on the outside, which makes installation easier for our electrician and HVAC and anything that has to go in that exterior wall is a challenge with the SIP system. Because of the insulation, you're limited to just the cutouts that they provide you. So we found when we compared the SIPs to the ZIPs that they were quite close on installation time. When it's not volunteers doing it and it's just, we have a team of 10 people on our site that are employed by Habitat. And so when it's those guys doing it, that they go quicker with the big panels, the zip panels that are, say, 4 panels per side of the building, as opposed to here, which is like 20 panels per side of the building. So we found that it actually, the zip panel was the preferred method for installation. And like I said earlier, with our subcontractors, they preferred that too. But pricing on materials right now being all over the place is certainly a challenge. It's hard to say OSB, the price of wood is changing so much that I guess the real lesson learned right now is that we need to be checking prices every step of the way, because you don't know what's going down or going up in price right now. So the exterior building envelope, the windows play a big role in creating a tight envelope and also insulating the home. So the U value of a window is the insulation of the window. So a lower U value means it's better insulated. So we use double pane casement windows, and our average U factor is 0.29. I attached a clip on the top right here that kind of breaks down, we're all cold climate here in Colorado, and you get an idea of, the different sides of the house if you have your architect looking at this, I'm sorry, that you should have different windows on different sides of the house. So on the south side, and let me back up here, there's also the solar heat gain coefficient. And that is how much heat transfer the window will let in from the sun. So you'll see on the south side, which is where you're in direct sunlight, you want in a cold weather environment to have a high solar heat gain coefficient. You want that heat coming in. And you want the lowest U factor. You want good insulation because the temperature outside is still cold, but you want to gain the solar heat gain to help with reducing the demand in, say, the winter of your HVAC system. So the appliances in our homes are all Energy Star, and we also use an induction range. So all the appliances are electric. The water heater, the dryer, they're all electric. They're all Energy Star, and an induction range, it uses electrical induction to heat, as opposed to just an electrical heating element, which you can see in the last bullet, the efficiency is drastically better using an induction range. And again, this is all very important in reducing what the overall demand of the house is. So the range is about 50% more than a traditional electric range, but you always want to check on incentives with your utility, and we were able to get $450 off that range as a credit from Holy Cross Energy, which would be available to anyone in Holy Cross Energy range. It may have expired at this point, I'm not sure, but just to touch on the efficiency of induction and how well does it heat, and that's the common argument with gas versus electric. This induction range, and I haven't tested this myself, but from the literature I've read online, it will boil water in half the time it takes for a gas grill. You do need special pots and pans for it, but it's becoming more of a standard when you go to the store that pots and pans work with an induction range. So our HVAC system, we are using a air source heat pump mini split system. And you can see the unit on the top right photo. That's what goes behind the home, and that's your air source heat pump. And that unit is powering the mini split heads, which are shown in the other two photos. So every room gets one of these heads, which is nice because you can have a thermostat in every room, and you can't have one room cooling and one heating. They all need to be in the same mode, but you could set different temperatures in different rooms based on your preference. So an air source heat pump is able to move heat from one place to another using electricity. One example I've heard used a lot of times is it acts kind of in the reverse way of a refrigerator. And these can use up to 50% less energy, and the system costs about $25,000 to install. We have had, a bit of a learning curve with these. The general perception is that heat pumps aren't suited for super cold environments. And what we have learned at this project is that they can work well in cold weather environments, but there's a few important things that you need to keep in mind. One is you'll see here that it's elevated way off the ground. This is 16 inches, I believe, and it happens to be covered as well. But you need it to be elevated because the system actually emits water, discharges water below it. And if it's not elevated, it builds up ice and backs it up, and then it's always in a defrost cycle. And when it's in a defrost cycle outside, it won't heat the inside. So you want to limit the defrost cycle. Another Yeah.
Just wanna quickly go through
Are we over?
with our time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let me go quickly here. So the other thing we learned here was that you want it in direct sunlight, which helps in keeping that discharge from freezing. So when your home is very tight on the envelope, you need to use an ERV, which is providing a controlled way of ventilating a home while minimizing energy loss. So all of our homes have an ERV, and it's basically because the homes are so tight and the windows aren't leaky, you need to ventilate it using a controlled system. So that actually is included in the $25,000 cost on the previous slide. Heat pump water heater. So this is a similar technology to the heat pump HVAC system, but instead is being used to heat your water. You can see kind of a breakdown of the costs here. There was also a rebate from Holy Cross for this, but it would be a little more expensive than traditional electric water heater, but it's 2 to 3 times more efficient. A lesson we learned here was that it does emit cold air, and you can duct that cold air. So you can be strategic in where you want that cold air to be discharged, which was certainly a lesson learned for us. Solar, the 2-bedroom homes have an 11.85 kilowatt solar array on the roof. 4 of our homes have battery backup, which were provided by Holy Cross. And we do have monitoring on these homes as well. And you see the solar cost for just one 2-bedroom home is $19,500. So certainly a challenge that the contractor does not get the benefits that a homeowner would get from installing solar, like tax rebates. We are not eligible for that as a contractor, which is something we've been in discussion about for the future, and possibly making it so that the homeowner puts the solar on and working that out so they can get the benefits. But it's a challenge because you saw the whole project, $28,000 cheaper not going gas, but one home solar is $19,500. EV charging, all of our homes have a level 2 EV charger. That's included in the analysis for the net zero. The Holy Cross provides chargers at no charge, and the installation costs about $500. We do have one homeowner pictured here that bought an electric car and is benefiting from that. And this last slide, I've touched on a lot of this stuff already, so I'll just go through quickly. Our utility costs $13 a month. The HOA reserve that is planning for the future based on the warranties of these different pieces of equipment. And I believe I've talked about all of these lessons learned except for the roof design. As I said, this project was not intended for solar originally, so we would have thought through the roof angles some more had that been considered from the very start. And we happen to like this quote a bit from Governor Polis. But I ended with that one as well. Thank you all. We'll take any questions, or I think I'm turning it back over, if I remember correctly, to Gary.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Gail. Thanks to both of you for that. We did ask for announcements, and I didn't receive any, so I assume nobody has an announcement that they really want to make. Given that, we're ready to just move into questions. So if anybody has questions for Jake and Gail, and just raise your hand, please use your raise hand function. If you don't know how to use that, it's down at the bottom. You'll see our reactions, and the raise hand is at the bottom, should be at the bottom. So we're going to start off. Looks like Clyde Church has a question. Go ahead, Clyde. Clyde, I think you're muted still.
Okay, is that better? Have you considered full modular structures which can be put into multi-story home construction? Factory built boxes, pre-wired, pre-plumbed, even with some HVAC that are assembled on site and sheetrocked on site, meet all building codes right out of the after construction is finished.
Can we respond to that?
Sure.
Sure.
Please.
Yeah, offsite construction for our next project, we very seriously explored and evaluated. We had identified, we visited the different plants, and we had identified a product that they basically couldn't build what we had designed. It was a miss. So we are using Simple Homes panelized systems out of Denver, but we totally are with you that this is the future of construction. When the workforce is a challenge, our subcontractors is a challenge, materials are a challenge, to have this modular products be readily available throughout the state is a real goal, and I think can really benefit rural areas, rural communities where our cost of construction is just through the roof. But you want a product like IndieDwell was offering that's net zero ready. And that's one of the challenges, is getting a product that will meet your energy standards long-term. So
Okay, I think Ellen had the next question. Ellen Stein, go ahead.
Thanks, Gary. Hi, Gail. Thanks, Jake. Curious, a few things. I think you said these were all deed restricted units. Yes?
Yes.
How are they financed? And what are the terms?
So what we try to do is find the best financing available for these low and moderate income households. So you can see in the chat, Kellen Meadowcroft, who is our Director of Homeowner Services for Habitat Roaring Fork Valley, and as mentioned in the chat that we're meeting, our homeowners meet the criteria for USDA, CHAFA, FHA. So these low interest products are important to us, but they need to be aligned with the AMI and to be eligible for some of those. And they are all deed restricted, and the deed restriction is tied to the property. It is has a set appreciation rate, and then it has criteria for the owners to be, in the instance of the school district, it is tied to their employment. And if they retire, they have a year, they must resell. But in Pickens County, their deed restriction is different, and that once you have qualified for the home, then you may remain in the home at that set appreciation rate. And the time that you sell it, you must sell it at a set price, and then to another employee of Pickens County. So that criteria is set forth in the deed restriction.
Great, thank you. Could you just quickly mention the square footage of the 2 to 4 bedroom? What's the range?
Yeah, the 2 bedrooms, they range from 1,250 square feet, and then the 3 bedroom is about 1,500 square feet, and the 4 bedroom is about 1,650 square feet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail and Jake. Leslie Carlson, I think you were next with a question.
Yes. Hi, guys. That was an awesome presentation. I'm on the board of Habitat La Plata County. And I would like to know how you, or if you have any secrets for meeting the challenges with dealing with local government entities, because to pull off such a project, they need to come alongside and help, so to speak, without getting into too many details. But how did you meet that challenge? Because one of the challenges we have here is rental units for affordability are always talked about, but not so much home ownership.
Really, thank you for bringing that up, Leslie. I think the Habitat model is home ownership. We know at a certain level, people can own their homes, and that creates stabilizing families and stabilizing communities. And really, it's interesting because we were one of the first home ownership projects in Basalt. A little challenging to have them see what they could provide. They provided some taps and some money for the solar, but they didn't change the process for us. And as I referred to, SB 1271 in there, there funding for planning grants for communities to incorporate policies and planning for affordable housing. And also there are grants for helping, in the instance, as I mentioned, in Rifle, who just stepped up with $100,000 reduction in their fees, but then also partnered with us for nearly $1 million grant through DOLA to pay for the balance of their fees, pay for some infrastructure costs, both on and off site. So how do we, I think, funding and incentives, and that 1271 lays out the incentives for communities to see that there are actual resources out there to be able to modify their policies. Did you have that?
No, I think that's,
Thanks,
So-
thanks, Gail, for that. And thank you guys for pioneering this, because it does help us have an example to go to also. So I appreciate that very much.
And Leslie, as you mentioned, it's easy to have rental projects because of the LIHTC funding and what's available through CHAFA and what's available through the Division of Housing to support rental. This is different. Ownership is different because the resources are not there to help support an ownership project versus a rental project.
Absolutely. So hopefully this is the future. We're going to change that.
What I proposed to a presentation to our city council last night was we are asking for a third of the affordable housing project homes to be deed restricted ownership homes. So that's what we're proposing. They can have rental, but again, teachers and long-term employees in your community will not stay if they live in rental housing. This view looking for long-term stability and people to participate, you want ownership.
Exactly. Thanks again very much.
Thanks, Gail. Dick White, you have a question? And I think we'll have time for another question or two afterwards, after Dick. So go ahead, Dick.
I will try to be very brief. Gail, I believe you mentioned something about building codes. And I think looking forward at, trying to decarbonize our housing stock, elevating the building code is a key, at least putting a floor on any current construction. Could you say what you're doing?
sorry, what was it?
The building code.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So the Basalt actually has some pretty strict building codes. So, it varies every city or town you go to, but yeah, it's very important that these towns keep pushing it forward, because as a constructor, unless you're really committed to do the renewable energy and doing right by your environment, it's expensive to do all this stuff. And the only way you're really going to get everyone to start doing it is to make it code. Otherwise, they're going to go for the cheaper alternatives and alternatives that aren't necessarily cheaper for the person who is going to be living in the home. They'll have higher utility costs, but the builder, to them, that they want to build for as cheap as possible.
I think lenders are a key component of that.
So
Bridging that gap.
Yeah.
our code, so Basalt has a sustainable building regulations. Their code is 2015 IECC, but they have an additional sustainable building regulation system, which is a point system. And if you don't meet their requirements for that, you get fined. So you could go the route of not, just doing 2015 code and forget your SBR and pay the fine if you wanted to, but it incentivizes you to meet their code.
And what about Rifle?
Rifle is 2009. So we'll be exceeding Rifles quite a bit.
Thanks, Gail and Jake. Rachel, you were next, I think, with your question.
Well, I just wanted to state that our local affiliate has done a net zero last year with solar panels donated by Shaw Solar. And we have a homeowner with a car that plugs into her home.
And that's been amazingly different to see that homeowner with very minimal cost utility wise. And I think it's going to impact, I don't know if y'all have noticed up in Roaring Fork, but we're seeing a lot of homeowners escrows increasing. And so knowing there's more control over the utilities has been helpful. But we're looking forward to taking your model. We've already planned to mimic it and have been working diligently on that, and looking for the partnerships and trying to piecemeal everything. So you are breaking ground and we'd love to follow after. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have one last question. Douglas Tooley.
Hi, Doug Tooley from San Miguel County. Just a quick question on, has the Roaring Fork considered using electric utility involvement in those infrastructure costs? So you're creating a distributed energy resource in both the solar panels and the batteries. And would it be possible to involve the utility in the Roaring Fork Valley in those costs?
This was the goal, as this was a learning lab. This neighborhood was a learning lab, a totally self-sufficient community, but also with the batteries and the hot water heater, they're able to, and the cars, they're able to test the ability to drive the energy going both ways. So with combining the most progressive thinking, hats off to Holy Cross. They really wanted to prove these concepts up. And
so the battery deal that Holy Cross provided batteries for the first 4 homes we did. And part of that arrangement was actually that they are allowed to draw from those batteries if they need to. And I'm not exactly sure the scenario they're thinking of where they are, desperately needed to pull from, some kind of
peak periods.
Yeah, but they could actually take power from those batteries if they needed to. And that was the arrangement when they gave them for free to those 4 homes.
Yeah. So Chris Bilby at Holy Cross Electric is a great resource, BILBY at Holy Cross Electric, but that was the plan, that during peak periods that they could draw. The home would act like a battery to the grid. So they've got some pretty sophisticated concepts. As I said, NREL now has come back with a study on the 4 homes on the energy use, and so because you'll go on the NREL website and you'll see Basalt Vista and this project that they have underway to monitor utilization in the homes.
Okay, thanks, everyone. I think there might have been a question in the chat that maybe Gail or Jake would be able to answer. I just wanted to once more remind you of our sponsors for Green Business Roundtable. Oops, there they are. No, they're gone again. There they are. And so thanks to all of our sponsors, and also for all of you that are on the call. You do have a little bit in one of your reactions at the bottom of the screen, you have the little applause icon, which is in the upper left, the applause emoji. Everybody ought to hit that for our presenters today. So thank you so much, Gail and Jake, for your effort and for taking the time to do this. As Jake just put in, feel free to contact him. So please do that. And go ahead, Gail.
And thank you. We're just so pleased. And Habitat RFV, Roaring Fork Valley, is our .org. And you can go and pull down the information on Basalt Vista and on the Wapiti Rifle Project as well. And we're happy to get back to you. And Holy Cross Energy has a very aggressive renewable portfolio standard. I think they're at, don't quote me, around 70 now, moving to 100%. They're one of the most, I know La Plata has probably got some ambition as well around the renewable portfolio, but they are one of the most aggressive. And I think, again, leading the way. We're thrilled to be in their territory. Unfortunately, Rifle is in Excel territory, and they're not quite as interested in in helping us achieve these goals, but we're working with them.
Great. Well, thanks again, Gail and Jake. Susan, is there anything left to do? Any administrative stuff, or are we
No, I
about to
mean,
shut down?
There were a few questions that were in the chat. Gail and Jake, would it be okay if I followed up with you with those questions and we could pass along those answers to those individuals that had asked?
Yeah, I was trying to type answers, but then got distracted with the verbal questions. So I steered away from that, but that's also why I put my email. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to send them all together in one, and I'll send the answers to all of them. But feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer or discuss anything further.
Thank you both so much.
Yes, thanks again.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for attending
Thank you all.
virtually even. So take care. We'll see you all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.